Thank you all so much for coming out tonight, and thanks very much for the invitation to speak. I'm Bill Maurer from the Department of Anthropology and the School of Social Sciences, and I'm going to be talking to you about mobile money. Mobile phone-enabled financial transfers and financial services around the world, mainly in the developing world, not here. Now, I know when you think phones, everybody thinks iPhone. I'm talking mainly about phones like that, very simple, basic feature phones, because when you look at the growth in mobile subscriptions around the world, you'll see the developing world is kind of plateauing, going up plateauing, but the developed world, sorry, is plateauing, but the developing world continues on this linear trajectory, taking off. That growth is mainly in, dumb, simple feature phones. And there are rather remarkable things that people are doing with the infrastructure of the basic mobile, using the mobile rails essentially to serve payment functions. The things that we take for granted when we swipe a credit card are in many parts of the world happening over the basic non-smart phone. The GSMA, which is the Trade Association for the world's telcos, estimates that around now about 80% of the world's population has access to a mobile service. Now, access doesn't mean they own a phone. It means that they have access to a phone and that they can be with the phone somewhere where they're signaling. Okay, so it doesn't mean they all own the phone, but most of the planet has access to a phone and a signal. This is the middle of nowhere in Ethiopia. Yet, less than 50% of the world's population has access to basic payment services, kind of electronic payment services and banking functions that we all take for granted. This is the backyard of some research subjects of some researchers that we've been supporting in the social sciences who work in the Philippines. That little hole is where this family keeps all their valuables, including wads of cash. Right? So for most of the world, this is your savings account. And that's basically the proposition behind mobile money or mobile-enabled financial services, that you have a world now where just about everybody has access to a phone and service, even basic, simple, dumb phones, but relatively few people have access to electronic payment functions which provide a whole host of things, not just convenience, but also security and so on. That's basically the proposition of mobile money that has been seized in the developing world by companies like M-PESA. Some of you may have heard of M-PESA. It's a service offered by the Kenyan telco Safaricom. It allows people to send peer-to-peer money transfers using the SMS capability, the text messaging capability of your basic, old-school Nokia phone. In effect, you load up value at the same place where you would buy airtime for your phone. Then you've got the value in your phone. I send you a text message. You get a message saying, Bill sent you 10 bucks. You go to the kiosk where you bought the airtime, you show that code, and you get your cash out. M-PESA started in 2007 as a microfinance loan repayment scheme, but it really quickly took off with people using that peer-to-peer money transfer function to send money to their friends, and this became the basis of their marketing campaign. It's now used by around half of all Kenyans. And just to give you a sense of the scale of this thing in Kenya, the dollar value of all transactions processed through the M-PESA network last year was about 10% of the value of all transfers through Western Union. So little tiny Kenya, 40 million people, right? 10% of the value of all Western Union. To me, the really impressive thing is this, that the network was able to handle about 35% more traffic than the worldwide traffic going through Western Union. So we have something pretty significant here in Kenya that's starting to be replicated around the world. This is a map of current mobile money services that are deployed globally. Look at that map. It's basically British, formerly British Sub-Saharan Africa, and then India and stuff happening in Southeast Asia. What you see in the US is Google Wallet, which I'm sure everybody has used, right? Everyone's used it? No. Yeah, okay. Anyhow, and there's sort of stories to tell here about this geographic distribution, but I can talk about that later in the Q&A if anybody wants. Here at UC Irvine, I direct a research institute in the social sciences called the Institute for Money, Technology, and Financial Inclusion. It's funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and we're basically trying to figure this out. We're trying to figure out, what is happening in this space? What is driving uptake and adoption of these services? And also, how are they actually working? What's the plumbing? What's the behind-the-scenes stuff going on? Because often these things get started for one purpose, and then people discover other things that they can do with these services, and lo and behold, you've got a payments network that you didn't have before. We've got researchers in all of these places and a few more. We support over 100 researchers in about 30 countries. We bring them all to UC Irvine every December for a conference where they talk about their research. You are all invited and welcome. One question that I always get is, why not here? Why don't we, how come I can't text Scott some money right now? Right? I can't, it would be hard. I could maybe get the PayPal iPhone app, but even then it's kind of a pain, and has anyone ever used that? One person, 2 people, 3 people, woo, awesome. Anyhow, so why not here? Why haven't we seen sort of mobile and money coming together yet here? Well, for one thing, here in the States and in most of the developing world, we don't have a situation like this. This is a place to buy stuff, a point of sale place in Brazil. And you can see that there's like a phone and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different point of sale terminals, all by different networks, right? We don't have that. I can go to any store and there's one point of sale terminal. It's all interoperable with all the debit and credit networks. I swipe my card and it usually, almost always, works. So stuff here works. The other thing is that here we have lots and lots of legacy systems. We have a very complicated payments and financial ecology. We've got, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. We have all the debit networks. We have banks and credit unions, and also payday lenders and money transmitter services and all of that. In much of the developing world, you basically have nothing, right? I mean, you have to sort of start from hoping that you have reliable electricity service in some of these places where mobile money has really taken off, number one. And then you get your sort of first ever network infrastructure that is reliable and works all the time. And what is it? It's mobile, right? And it's not internet on phone, right? It's just your basic ability to call and place a text message. So that's the real big thing there. In a context where you don't have these sort of legacy infrastructures or existing means of electronic payment, something comes in like mobile that can be tapped as the rails for a new payments infrastructure, and it's taken off. Another really key thing to bear in mind is that the US, anyway, is relatively unique in that the telcos make us all buy subscriptions to our phone service. We're not pay-as-you-go for the most part. In much of the rest of the world, you are pay-as-you-go, so you are already living in a world where you're buying airtime at a regular clip all the time just to use your phone. So there's already this kind of association, a behavioral association of money with the phone that we don't necessarily have here. So, M-PESA and a lot of the mobile money services based on the text message capability of your basic simple feature phone basically took an existing behavior. They took the fact that everybody texts everybody all the time and loves to send texts, and just layered another service right on top of that. So if I can text you, now I can also send you money. It's quite brilliant. A lot of the, and this is incidentally a person loading up airtime into their phone, right? You go buy a card, you scratch off the stuff, you get the secret code, enter it into your phone, and hey presto, you've got credit. A lot of the mobile money services that have been experimented with in the States, and some of the ones that are going on right now, like Google Wallet, are trying to make us engage in some kind of weird, unfamiliar behavior, right? Like take my phone and like do something like that with it, or the one that I'm not going to name any names, but the one that I love is the one where I hold up my credit card, and you take a picture, or you scan it with the phone, and then you got my card and my face. And then it knows who I am, and then the payment. I'm not doing that, right? So I mean, to me, something to sort of think about, and a kind of lesson from like social science land into tech development land is to think about something like the genius of Square, right? Like Square, I don't know if you all know Square. From my little anthropology point of view, like this was genius. Because Square, which you basically plug this little swipey thingy right into the earphone jack of your iPhone, and then you can start receiving credit card payments. It worked. I mean, why did it spread so rapidly? It's not because we live in a universe full of people who run food trucks, which if you read the media is why it took off, because food vendors love it. It took off because it's asking us to do what we've been doing all along. Swipe your card. Right? Easy, no behavioral change necessary, maybe a little bit if you worry a little bit about the person who owns the iPhone stealing your data, but not so much. we were asked to sort of point to the future. Here's my to the future slide. In the developing world, I just published an article in Innovations, this MIT journal, with some of my colleagues at the Gates Foundation, another researcher in Kenya. In the developing world, what's happening is that if the mobile network itself became a sort of payment network and payment platform, now we have third-party developers who are building things on top of those mobile payment platforms. So people are now creating applications that sit on top of M-PESA for things like bill payment, for insurance payments and premium payout, and even for paying at the point of sale. So I'm a merchant, I get a little M-PESA short code, and it just says when you come to my till, just text me the money to this 5-digit number, and then we've settled the transaction there. That's what's happening in the developing world. Here, it's really hard to say. There's been a lot of excitement around near-field communication technology, the stuff that lets you sort of tap your phone if you have a chip inside that can do NFC, tap your phone to something to read it. I still haven't seen very much going on. There's also been a lot of rumor and speculation about some big IT player getting into banking, so we'll have to wait and see. What I see from my position of having been looking at mobile-enabled financial transactions for the past like 5 or 6 years is really this thing on the bottom. Where in the very beginning, a lot of the businesses that were getting involved were thinking in terms of float, right? The money in mobile money is going to be having your hands on that float while all the money is sitting there in the system before anybody cashes out or pays anybody. I look money up, it sits there for a while somewhere under my control, maybe I can take advantage of that float. There's a lot of talk about the float. The regulators came in and basically said, don't touch that float, for the most part. Then everybody was like, ooh, maybe we can make it off transaction fees the way the card networks have done. That's sort of where we are right now. But the rumbling that is beginning to happen is that maybe if I'm a mobile money service provider, I don't actually want your money. Maybe what I want is your data. And this gets right back to the big data conversation now, where some of the folks in the space are starting to think that the real value proposition here has nothing to do with the value of the transaction, but the value of all the data that is present in that transaction, who you are, where you are, what you're buying, who you're buying it from, how much you're willing to pay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if we see people start to mine that, we might actually see some other kinds of innovation in the mobile payment space here that we haven't seen yet. Thanks very much.